Welcome back to another video, guys. Sorry it's been so long since I've had a video up. I've been preoccupied with other bits and bobs. But today I'm looking at the wiper gear. I'm not going to fully refurb it, I'm just looking to improve the actual stroke strength of it. You'll find over time the grease gets solid inside the gearbox here and along the cable inside, and it slows down and you'll find your wipers get jammed to the windscreen. What I'm going to do is clear all the old grease out and refresh the grease in it so it gets a bit of a better stroke. So I'm going to jump straight into that and show you the tools I'm using. So actually I'll show you the tools now. So I have a 3/8, that's for the back of the wiper gearboxes, so these small spindles here. And then I have, I believe, a quarter inch, that's to open the side plate for the main gearbox here. And I have an 18mm spanner that will undo the big nut which joins the tubing for the wire that runs onto the main gearbox of the wiper motor. So what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of a time lapse of me stripping it down, and then I'll show you the inside and how things work. Right, so first we'll talk about the motor. I did re-grease this about 6 years ago, so this part of the motor is still actually looking really good with the grease inside. It's a little bit hard to see even though it's dark, but this bit of gear will pop out here, and in your case you'll just clear all the old grease out with a bit of rag and put fresh stuff in there and push this gear in. This is the cam bar that locks into the end of this cable here, so that's what drags it back and forth. The parking switch on the back here, it's a little bit hard to see the colours on it, but at the top side of the switch over here, that's the red right at the end. In the middle is the yellow, and at the back end is the blue, which is closest to the casting. So if you pull them out, get them off here, and then you grab the top of this parking switch here and pull away from the casting, and then slide it up and out. You'll find it comes off just as easy as that, and that's the parking switch off. Now, personally, I won't bother messing about separating these and messing with them. They're cheap enough to buy, and they are a very common fault for your wipers going wappy or not hitting the park position. So mine's okay. I'm going to pop it back in like that, as easy as that, and I'll put my wires back on. So it was blue, yellow, and then finally red at the front. Right, so they're all back in. These will need redoing. These are the actual spline bit gearbox at the bottom here. They're a bit grubby and the grease has dried up and gone tied on them and they're standing rough. So I'll put fresh grease in there. And the problem with mine is actually this spring and like this coil along it with the wire. What's happened is I didn't grease this last time, and it's basically started drying out and then dragging inside this tube here, and it was quite a struggle to get the elbow off here to slide it off there. So what I'm going to do is wire brush this down, and I've just greased this bit and the two wiper arm gearboxes, and then I'll do a reassembly on it all. So let me just jump ahead to that. Right, so I've wire brushed this down, that's ready to go, and I've straightened this out just so it's, you know, near to basically straight. It's not completely perfect, but you know, it's straight enough. I have decided though I am going to pull this apart just because if you've never done it before it's a bit confusing. So a little clip here, it will just pry off like so. Pop it down here. This arm will then come up and off, and then you'll flip this over here. This is a little bit hard to pop off, but there's another clip just here. Just wedged it with my thumbnail there and screwdriver the other side. Oh, comes off like a bullet like that. That's that side clip off, and this gear, you shunt it from behind and it should hopefully just want to pop out. Cool, just tap it through like that. Bit of resistance of something. And that's that gear out. And then in here you can actually see your park switch right at the back there. That little red mark is on mine. There's a bushing that goes in this as well, but mine's dead tight. And then the back here, if I just get a bit of rag and clear this off, I'll show you what activates the park switch. So this lump just here is what activates your park switch. This is raised cam here, that's what hits it and says turn off to the motor there. That's home again. So that's that. Me stripping this out here was hopefully, because I knew someone would ask, oh, how do you do that? That's how you do it, those two circlips off. And then get your rag and just scoop all of this out of here, all this old thick hard grease. Like I said, mine isn't that bad, but you know, while I'm here, why not? Why not do it? Helps you guys out if you want to do it yourselves. So that's the majority of that cleared up. And then what I'll do next is assemble the rest of the gear work first, and then we'll look at putting the motor on at the end. Right, so let's start assembling some bits together. So this is just general purpose grease I'm using on here. You can use anything from the stuff you get in your grease gun for your radius arms, or anything you can get your hands on basically, just to keep it lubricated. So I'll only go halfway down to start me off, so I don't make a complete mess of everything. And I'll start feeding some of the bits on. So this tube will go first. This is the angle tube that I'm putting on first. Cool. So first, what I'm going to do is put this box on here first. Run it in. That's the first one. And then the tube next. Right, and then again a little bit difficult to see in the dark here, but they've got little flanges that need to go over the shoulders here, and that's what stops the bar from pulling out when the plate's on. So you slot them into place, and then what I do is press a load of grease in here and then run it all the way around the gear. So drop my back plate back on there. Slip these nuts on. Same like I did before. Just get it started in the gears just here. Just wriggle it and twist it into place. Push the flange into its location just here, and then the little end cap piece here, wriggle it in, top cap on, Don't forget to grease it. So that all packed up. Now I'll put my cap on. Right, so I will just nip them, and then I'm going to test it with my hands, see if I can get them to rotate and turn. Right, so one last example. It's moving free enough for me to do it by hand now. So we're going to join it up to this gearbox here. So if I put a bit of rag down this side, stop it going on the floor, shuffle this down like so. Now this goes into here, but first we need to pack it with a nice blob of grease in here on the rail so that can slide up and down smooth. And here, pack this gear full of grease, put a bit of grease on the outer casing here, just so when it's rotating it can pick up extra grease. Light smear grease on the shaft, stop it seizing in the bearing, and then reattach that. Find your circlip. Click the circlip into place and flip the motor gear over. Put your washer in place and slot that locking washer circlip again on this side as well. So I thought I'd reposition so you can see a little bit better. So yeah, washer goes on the shaft that's come through the other side now after giving it a good tap and make sure it's in the right location roughly. And then slot this other locking washer into place if you can. So this is kind of difficult, this one is, because it's under a little bit more tension. Take your time with that. I know it looks a bit of a fumble, but when it shoots off it goes flying and you won't find it again. That'll really cheese you off, I imagine. And then this needs to slot into place with the cross facing up. There's a little collar here for the nut. Drop our top plate back on here. A little tool here. Tighten these up. Some people have pulled the threads out on these little ones before by overdoing it with like a ratchet. If you do end up doing that, what I do is drill right through and then put a nut and bolt each side if you need to repair that as a quick repair. But now that is on, we just need to pull the nut to and tighten it up on this collar here. Right, so this is the last nut, so we'll just wind that up onto here. Make sure you get to catch properly, don't cross the threads. And then let's give it just a nip on here. It doesn't have to be too tight, just enough to stop it coming out. Any of the problems you might come and encounter along the way is on these the wiper boxes here, I don't know what they're made of, like a cheap cast aluminium or some sort of like almost like legged material for the threads. They tend to wear and then you can't lock them up onto the bulkhead panel, so you might need to replace these boxes. That's a possibility. And if you did want to paint the wiper motor housing, it's only 2 1/2-inch bolts that you can crack off, wire brush it and paint it. I don't bother because there's a plastic cover over this and you'll never see it, and the rest of this tubing goes into the bulkhead and you won't see it. So that's up to you. I've left these loose until I'm near to the car fitting it again, because then I can lock it in a bit better of an angle. Even though you've got some movement, it's better to be as near as possible. But that's it, guys. I hope this video was some help. There's no assembling or deassembling off the car because it's literally these nuts and then the plastic strap that goes around the motor. There's nothing hard about it really. But if you do need help, just drop me a message. But that's it for now. Hopefully there'll be another video in a week or so. So catch you next video, guys. See you later.